Welcome to another episode of Little Talks, your weekly dose of marketing news and insights from Littlefield Agency.
Oh, nice.
That's what I was doing when I poked my eye out, by the way. I was walking back from putting that here, and I stopped, and that's when it happened. So it's Chelsea's fault.
Oh, my God. This is her fault.
Yes.
It actually is. Have you told her that?
No.
Holy cow.
I don't want her to feel too bad.
Okay, well, we need to probably tell our listeners this.
Because actually, you're the one that told me to do it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. This is my fault, isn't it? Jeez. On that note, welcome back
Brandon said yes.
Another edition of Little Talks with Littlefield Agency. I'm Sam Littlefield. With me is
Roop.
Roop. We were off last week, guys, and we apologize. It's actually technically not our fault.
No.
Whose fault is it, Roop?
Now you're pushing back to me. It's my fault.
No, it's not your fault. There's an airline that kind of...
Oh.
You had some airline troubles. Roop kind of had a week last week.
Yeah, I was
First off, tell me where you were.
I was in New York City for vacation for my wife's birthday and kind of Mother's Day all rolled
Looked like a hell of a time.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
We love New York. I would live there if it were cheaper. But like it's fantastic. We love the place, and we always have a good time. Getting there, there was a couple of things that happened, and coming back, there were a lot of things that happened. So we were supposed to be back on Tuesday and made it back, I think, Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah.
So that's why there's no podcast last week.
Brando.
It is, and I'm going to name the airline. Is that okay?
I think that's free speech, baby.
American Airline, you can. I hate them so much. I hate them so much.
Which is funny because I'm actually a big American Airlines guy.
Well,
I don't take offense, but it's usually who I fly.
They were terrible. But anyhow, yeah. And by the way, you mentioned the three of us at the top. If people could hear the singing, were you singing at the top of this or the lo-fi?
Lo-fi.
Claudia's out.
Yeah, Claudia's
today.
on PTO.
She's on PTO.
We got Brando back.
We have Brandon back.
There he is.
Back running things. That's why I dropped a explicit in there to keep him on his toes when he's editing.
Are you going to bleep that out?
You better bleep that out.
Oh my God. Roop's a loose cannon today. So as you can tell, he's rested and back from a great PTO trip to New York City.
Yeah.
Wonderful city to, I think, temporarily visit. But when you came back, what we were talking about when this episode started is I'm in the agency on Friday and there's no Roop. And he had made it to the agency.
Thursday I was here.
Yeah, Thursday you were here. And anyway, Friday comes and Roop was like, hey, man, I ran into a plant by the men's bathroom and I think it damaged my cornea.
It punctured my eye in two spots. And I
Legitimately,
according to the eye doctor, yeah. And I had to take these drops all weekend.
And it's going to scar over and probably you've got a battle scar from the plant by the men's bathroom.
Yeah. So
how'd that happen?
Okay, so if you're watching, there's this framed photo of Chelsea behind me.
that you just...
that Sam wanted me to update. Like before I left for New York. And so I was doing that. And I was walking back from the studio and I had to use the restroom. And this plant's right by the restroom.
Were your glasses on, by the way?
Yes, my glasses were on. The plant was right next to the restroom and there's kind of a water fountain behind it. And I frequently will use that water fountain to put things I don't want to carry into the restroom.
It's sanity. Yeah, that's good rule of thumb.
Just a good rule of thumb. So I was kind of moving the plant to the side with my arm and putting stuff in there. And it just came out of nowhere, slid under my glasses and pow, punctured my eye, and it watered and watered. It was blurry.
Tell them the kind of feeling that it was.
It felt like there's sand in your eye. You couldn't really move
sound very nice.
It was very painful. And so Friday I didn't come in. Carrie made me go to the doctor, which I didn't want to do because I'm dumb.
Yeah,
and she made me, and like that worked out. So like he gave me these drops, and by Saturday evening I was feeling pretty much better. And yesterday pretty good.
Well, truthfully, I'm really glad you're okay. Eye stuff freaks me out, man. Like that's
me
just
too
like
now.
that could have blinded you.
Yeah,
my goodness, I was hoping for a patch. It would just have made for such great podcast content.
I asked the eye doctor if I could have had an eye patch, and he said, I've not had to prescribe an eye patch yet, and I don't feel like I'm going to start today. I was like, damn it. I thought that'd been so cool.
That's a bummer. Well, I'm glad your eye's okay.
Thank you.
I'm glad your trip was great. And our last announcement is happy belated Mother's Day to all of our mothers.
Yes.
Mother's Day. I honestly, probably one of the most important days of the year.
We wouldn't be here without them.
We would not. Literally, we would not be without them. But we are so thankful. Moms are the frickin' MVP every day.
Yeah.
No matter if they're in the thick of young kids or you've got kids out of the house, right? Moms are built differently. And so happy Mother's Day to our listeners. If you are a mother, happy Mother's Day to you. If you are a husband to a mother, maybe one more happy Mother's Day to them. Couldn't hurt the case.
You navigate a lot when you're a husband because you've got your own mom.
Yep.
You've got your wife. It's probably a mom or going to be a mom. You've got I've got sisters. Like, there's a lot of people that you have to kind of like.
I actually had AI write a really nice Happy Mother's Day text.
No, don't tell everybody.
Yesterday.
You did.
Oh, I told him. It was a little provocative. It was pretty great.
I do copy paste the same ones about 8 people. Send one to Sarah. I'm like, copy paste. Send one to my friends.
You sent one to Sarah Kettner?
Yeah, I always send one to Sarah.
That's super nice.
My mom was sick yesterday. I didn't get to see her, so it'll be next weekend when I do.
Yes, Happy Mother's Day,
New
Mom.
Mother's Day.
I love it. Cool. It's a beautiful weekend here in Tulsa. We are back at it. It's Monday. This will go live. You're listening to this on I'm going to say Wednesday. It needs to go live on Wednesday, right?
We're going to see.
So, version A or B, our topic of the day, the art of A/B testing.
Yeah, so we've mentioned A/B testing.
We talk about it all the time,
during
right?
a lot of podcasts, but we haven't dedicated a whole episode to it.
Which I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start testing some things on here.
You know, I was trying to figure out a way we could A/B test a podcast and do 2 versions of it, maybe different intros.
Email-wise, obviously, but yeah, it'd be kind of tricky from a production because we're going to get into what's important in A/B testing.
Yeah, podcasting doesn't lend itself well to A/B testing.
Here's the thing, right? A/B testing, everyone knows what it is. How are you doing it? We work with a lot of, when we come a prospective new client that we're talking to and they land as a new client, the way that we A/B test is very different than whether their in-house teams do or agency partners that they work with. So we're going to kind of touch the surface today.
Yeah. And give you maybe some ideas on some things you could A/B test or push your own agency to A/B test if they're not.
And here's the thing, right? Like it's simple. It's really not super hard by any means. It does take time. If you would like to talk about this further too, Chris Kaiser is the
king of A/B testing.
The king of A/B tests. We could ever get him on this frickin' podcast.
he's on the agenda. He just keeps getting bumped.
Okay, Roop, start us off. I'll chime in.
So A/B testing or even ABC testing, because you can test more than 2 things if you're feeling like it.
We usually do A/B, but yes,
usually
right.
A/B, yeah. It's just comparing 2 different versions of a marketing asset to determine which one performs better. And those assets can be anything from an email to creative to Google Ads. Anything that you have an opportunity to put out there as creative that has an opportunity for variance, you can A/B test, and you can do it willy-nilly just because you're like, I just kind of wonder whether the audience will respond better to a red headline or a green headline, or you may have like legit concerns and like, our emails are not performing very well anymore. Is it because we always send them on Tuesday? Is there a better day of the week to test? Let's do the next one test and split it Tuesday and Thursday or Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. So it just means you're optimizing your performance off of these tests with real data, not just your gut. Because a lot of times in the past we've kind of operated. I operate a lot off of my gut. I think I'm always right.
Well,
right?
Here's the thing,
but I'm not when it comes to A/B testing.
This industry, before we got access to data, operated on its gut.
100% was gut,
for centuries.
Yeah, for a long time.
Insane.
But now we have all this data, and that's one of the beauties of the data is you can learn from it, right?
You can learn from it, and we always tell not just our clients but internal teams, right? It's hard to argue with data. Like there's a reason for it. There's a balance, of course, but having those insights is very helpful.
Yeah, and one of the things that is important when you're A/B testing is to have some sort of hypothesis on what you think the outcome will be. It kind of takes you back to grade school science.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hypothesis.
And I think we're going to talk about that a little bit more later too. On that.
Yeah.
That's a hypothesis.
Good,
Roop. That's good pronunciation.
What do you think's in this cup?
I don't even want to know.
Didn't want to know.
So, and here's the thing, right? Like we are A/B testing emails, there are ads, website headlines, social posts, calls to action
are a big one.
I think Jay Schwedelson would absolutely agree with that, right? And it could be a, get demo now. Everything else in the ad is the same, and the other call to action is see financing options.
Yeah, two kind of different offers you might be given there.
Yeah, right. So it's like, okay, are we getting? Regardless, we want to get them to book, but what is the headline that is driving them? And it's who's clicking, and then what are they doing after that actionable click?
Yeah, and I'll give you some real
very easy example there.
There's some real examples I've seen the creatives go through with Chris, where they have some display ads, and I think Chris offered this A/B up to them. He was curious to see whether a full image with a product out in the field,
beauty image,
beauty image. Yeah. They're in the field. You see like the plains in the background, grass, rocks, and all
versus
this stuff.
a product knockout
versus a knockout on just a red or I think orange or green background, and which one would perform better. Now the creatives will tell you, and I would have agreed with them,
100%.
The knockout's not going to win because it's ugly.
I'm going for the beauty shop, baby.
But what happens is that knockout stands out in the sea of sameness where everyone else is doing that and performs a little bit better. So you never really know. That's you set that hypothesis up.
God. Why?
But you but you don't know. And the reason you do the hypothesis, we're going to talk about the hypothesis, but the reason you do the hypothesis really is just to kind of have your own gut check for me.
Of course. But before you set up the test.
Before you set the test up, yeah.
And when we report to our clients, we always include in reporting what our OG hypothesis was. And just so you know, it's very important. We're wrong a lot of the times. And we're happy to admit that because the data is telling us something else.
Yeah, and it also sets up the reason why you're performing the test. I think this, so let's try this.
Yes.
And it's hard to argue with that kind of science, right?
Absolutely. No, that's a great point. So, Roop, just walk. Let's high level best practices for those, even if you're A/B testing already, or you're like, oh, you know what, I've thought about this, I've run one before, but I don't have that much time. But let's talk through just some good pointers here.
Yeah, we'll do some best practices and then real quick some ideas, just some random ideas that may work here and there. So one of the most important things, and Chris harps on this a lot, and I definitely picked it up from him, and Jay Schwedelson to a degree, but Chris really talks about this a lot.
He hits home on this.
You only test one variable at a time for clean results. You can't say I'm going to send an email and have two different subject lines, two different CTAs, and different copy.
Yep.
Because now you're testing three things, and the matrix of that is not going to work out. Totally. You need to know one or the other, A or B, black or white, 1 or 0.
And just so you know, when our clients are like, well, oh man, I want to see X, Y, and Z. It's like, great, let's start with this.
And then we'll test the winner of that against that.
Always be testing, right?
Yeah. One variable at a time for clean results. You want to keep your sample sizes consistent between your versions. So you can't send, if I'm going to stay with email, it's easier to follow. You can't send out 1,000 emails with test A and 20,000 with test B, because now that's unequal, and your results are going to be greatly skewed. This seems common sense, but sometimes it slides through. You got to keep the sample sizes consistent. Make sure that the control and variation are distributed randomly. And if you're using a tool set like, say, HubSpot has a lot of A/B testing built into it. I believe Google does too. Google Ads and their universe. They kind of do this for you. They will split the audience randomly, and they will distribute evenly, and they kind of handle it. So if you've got a system that already handles that, great. If not, try to remember that in what you're doing. You want to make sure you have clear KPIs before you start and how you're going to judge those results.
Yeah, and one thing we do, this is that point in the sense of establishing clear KPIs before you're starting the test. It's tied into our measurement planning process, and I think that's super. It keeps everyone accountable. It's a client may want to shoot for the moon on something. It's like, no, we're literally looking. Does it actually drive X? Yeah, it's very simple.
And a lot of times for us also, we're running tests just because we're curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we always try to tell the client, hey, we're going to try this or do this, but like sometimes we're just curious. We're running a little small test just to see what's going on.
It's a great point, Roop. Is we're running small different tests just purely out of curiosity. Great way to do it social. Like whether it's organic, paid, run some ideas out there, right? You think about what I've seen 4 million social ads this morning. I can't tell you which one I remembered, right? Just in the art of scrolling through all the busyness and chaos. Sea of sameness is a good way to put it, Roop. But yeah, testing's on social, super easy. We'll talk about the kind of the timing of the tests and all that here in a little bit.
Next, in fact.
Is it next?
Oh, yeah.
Did I just segue into that for you?
You did.
My goodness. So here's the thing. We have a lot of clients be like, oh my gosh, it's been 30 days, right? And then 1 month goes by very quick as we're testing these things. And, ad A is absolutely, if it is annihilating ad B, sure, right? If it's pretty close, though, we usually try to give it at least 60 to 90 days.
Yeah, I think it depends on the platform and maybe what you're testing. I know Chris is kind of short up where he gets his results pretty quick, I think within a week or so. Email testing happens within 24 hours, unless you're testing different days, of course. Like, some things happen really quickly.
And then we have some tests that run for months.
Some that will run a lot longer.
And just because, A, there's no immediacy to it, and B, we're trying to be learning. But yes, absolutely. That's
and I want to point something else out you mentioned there. Like when you're running this test and you're kind of checking in on it and you see that you've got a 51 to 49% difference or whatever, that may not seem like a lot. You may look at that and say, okay, well, these are pretty equal.
Close,
and sometimes that's true. That is true. In other cases, 1% on an open rate is a pretty big number in that universe. So you got to really know your KPIs and what they mean and what metrics and measurability within those matter.
What kind of tools are you using as you're looking into this? I know Chris uses a ton of stuff too.
There's a thing called Google Optimize that'll work for you. Meta Ads Manager has some A/B built in, and I use HubSpot the most just because of the universe of things I work in.
Just in the world of CRM and email. Yeah. No, that makes total sense.
Can I give a few before I just want to give a few ideas. So we've talked about how you test and the way you set it up, but like some things you can test, some test ideas. And these may be mostly for email, but I think they apply to some other things as well. I keep on my phone just a list of A/B.
Yeah, no, it's good.
A/B notes.
I love it.
Because I'll hear things like listening to a podcast or reading an article or at a seminar or some such, and I'm like, that's a good idea for A/B test. I'll write it down. Or in a meeting, someone will ask a question. Right now. So these are some of the ones that we've looked at and tried. Design versus no design, like on an email. Big, heavy image or no image. Yeah. You'd want to say, oh, the image is pretty. People will respond to it. That's not always the case. Content length. Is shorter better or is longer better? Are you really trying to pass a lot of information along, or can you be really concise about it and still get the same CTA or action you want out of it? Send times and days of the week. We've talked about that one. Positive versus negative language. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brock loves this one. But like the idea that, here's 10 ways to save money versus are you losing all the money that you own because, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's the same concept, but it kind of like, you kind of grab them with that.
I don't want to be losing money.
No, that's not me. I got to see what they're talking about.
When you're on a heater this year, you're not losing any money.
I've cooled. Question versus statement in your subject lines. CTAs on button color, button shape, button size, button placement. Bullet points versus normal text, which is something we're testing right now for a couple of clients. The from name, does it come from Sam Littlefield? Does it come from Littlefield Agency?
That's a huge one.
Does it come from someone else?
So by the way, we're finding that coming from me personally is
tends to do the best. Tend to do the best.
Well, and let me. There's a great one. This was years ago. No longer a client, and the client just swore, more of a gut reaction because they really knew their business. That promotional messaging offers will always win. Our customer is a B2C client. Our customer wants a deal, and we said, okay, well let's test it. We got nothing to lose here. Brand messaging about the experience and the fun absolutely outperformed the promo messaging, and it blew the client's doors. It was actually a really cool moment for them because they're like, shoot, okay, and it shifted their whole messaging strategy. This was more from an awareness standpoint, obviously not mid funnel to lower funnel, but that's what I loved. And something that is important, and Chris would harp home on this, statistically significant.
Yes,
that's very key.
Which is, like I said, is going to vary depending on what you're measuring, what you're looking at. But
when you have statistically significant results, and you just say, client, right here,
it's hard to argue with it.
Can't argue with it.
On the other hand, it's also kind of rewarding sometimes when there's no significant difference. I mean, you're disappointed at first because you did all this work to do an A/B test, but it didn't matter. You know what? At the end of the day, we're saying argue over blue or red. It doesn't matter. Yeah. That's okay too.
It's okay. Absolutely. And here, kind of one more point. You brought up hypothesis.
Hypothesis.
You brought it up earlier. It's established in the beginning. We're right sometimes. We're wrong sometimes. Mm-hmm. We're learning. We're curious. It's great. What are you doing with the data once a hypothesis has been met or not met, right? So your example on knockout images versus beauty shots.
Yeah.
We learn that. We tell the client that. That's great. Well, what are you doing, from an ongoing content and paid ad, whatever it is that you're testing or doing to make sure that is initiated? I think that's a super big point because a lot of people, and Brock says this really well, if you were to print out a client analytics report, he was like, you guys would take this, you'd listen to us for an hour and a half, and you'd crumble it up and throw it in the trash. It is our job as your agency. We're reporting on great metrics and data, but what are you doing with that to continue to drive results? That is a huge point.
And one last area in that, once you've got a result, it's okay to retest that result later.
Great point. Great. So for product knockout versus beauty shots.
What works today may not work in a year or two.
It could be beauty shots.
Yep.
So something's changed.
Trends change. Very nice, Roop. I love that. That's a very good point. And here's the thing. You're A/B testing. You might be in the process of one. Just keep doing it. It's always great. We have a client over in Missouri, and we had a really thoughtful meeting for our first quarterly analytics meeting with them a month ago. And we all established tests that we wanted to, the next time that we meet. I think that it's just they're curious, we're curious, and it drives results for you as B2B marketers. Yeah, you tighten your results with A/B testing for sure.
Awesome. Roop, my friend, as always, first off, I'm glad you can see me. That's great. I sincerely mean that. I'm glad your eye's okay. I'm glad you had a great trip. Brando, great to have you back in the studio. And to our listeners, as always, thank you. Thank you for listening to us. We are so thankful for our loyal listeners. And if you are new to the podcast today, welcome and strap up because it's a fun ride here on Little Talks.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Okay, we'll see you. Bye-bye, guys.
Adios.
And that's a wrap. We hope you've enjoyed our little chat and found ways to grow your own marketing strategies. Remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow us on social media @Littlefield Agency.